You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, broadcast in January 2022. Today I talked to a professional cosplayer, and it was an amazing conversation. Katie Haynes joins me today. We have collection protection and the most outrageous offer, but first, the longest-running character in Doctor Who history, Fraser Hines.
They all say who is Doctor Who? Where is he from? What does he do? They wonder who is Doctor Who? So I ask you, who's Doctor Who?
Welcome back to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, the first episode of 2022. The podcast that, of course, explores the inclusive world of Doctor Who collecting, those who collect, issues surrounding Doctor Who collecting, and, of course, all kinds of Doctor Who merchandise. I am Larry Van Mersbergen, your host, and I've been collecting Doctor Who for 40 years. I opened the first Doctor Who store in Chicago that exclusively served Doctor Who fans back in 1984, and we called it Bundles from Britain. And we are mentioned in a great book called Red, White, and Who, the story of Doctor Who in America. Make it your New Year's resolution to buy this book. Bundles from Britain lives on page 384, and you can find a convenient link to buy this book on the front page of our website at drwhocollectors.com. We just want everybody to have a copy. I'm excited to say that we are a part of the Direction Point Doctor Who Podcast Network, and you can find some great Doctor Who podcasts at directionpoint.org. If you happen to be a Doctor Who podcaster, nothing should stop you from joining our network today and join the ranks of podcasts such as Time Streams, Police Box in a Junkyard, the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, Traveling the Vortex, and the Old Doctor Who Show. For more information, visit directionpoint.org. And speaking of links, of course, my two go-to resources for Doctor Who collecting include timelash.com, the Tardis library. Sign up for a free account and keep track of some of your Doctor Who collectibles, including books, cassette tapes, videotapes, Blu-rays, DVDs, laser discs, and some of those media items. Not all items can be cataloged there, but the bulk of those things can be for free. Thanks special to Dan O'Malley, who keeps that site free. If you want to find out what was available in Doctor Who collecting that maybe you have never seen before, or you were curious when you heard the episode about the casket, then visit the Doctor Who Toy Box at drwhotoybox.co.uk. This is, of course, Howe's Transcendental Toy Box, the work of David J. Howe, who's a great friend and a great resource for collectors. Of course, if you're also looking for great Doctor Who items at great prices and new items coming in all the time, visit DoctorWhoStore.com, which is run by Alien Entertainment. Find them on their eBay store as well. They have what you need. You can also find great items at Forbidden Planet, one of our sponsors. Just visit our website. In addition to all of our podcasts posted on our website, we also have the complete guide to Doctor Who classic hardcover books. We're constantly updating that database to include additional printings, proof of life of those additional printings, as people reach out to us with those photo proofs that those books actually do exist, and as much as we can, the up-to-date, what is this book worth? In real terms. Not what some eBay seller thinks they can get for it, but what it should go for. We list reprints that some people don't even know about. Now that Chicago Tardis 2021 is behind us, we look, of course, forward to Chicago Tardis 2022. So keep ChicagoTardis.com in your bookmarks and experience the best Doctor Who experience in the Midwest. I am extremely honored to be the official collecting expert for Chicago Tardis. And if you want to go back to the virtual convention that we did in 2020, you can see the Doctor Who collecting panel that I present on the Chicago Tardis YouTube and Facebook page, also on the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast YouTube page under playlists. We have that video as well. So I will have up Chicago Tardis updates when they happen. Want to make a special thank you to all of our sponsors for the Doctor Who Collectors podcast, which include Forbidden Planet. And again, you can get great merchandise from Forbidden Planet by just visiting our website at DoctorWhoCollectors.com, select Doctor Who merchandise links, and click through to the item you'd like to buy. You don't have to do anything special. You buy and you check out at Forbidden Planet, but if you go through our website, we get a small part of that sale. You pay the same price, no additional costs or fees, and you help support the podcast at the same time. You could also visit our eBay store. There's a convenient link for that as well there. We have many Target books that we are liquidating, that we have duplicates, triplicates of, and so you can get a great deal there. You can get most of your collection protection items, of course, at bagsunlimited.com. Bags Unlimited is a sponsor. They provided us with some great giveaways at the last convention. And, of course, all your collection protection needs are there. I also want to thank our patrons. If you'd like to see the exclusive material, including the video of today's interview, you have to be a patron. So go to our Patreon page and subscribe at least at the $15 level or above, and you can see exclusive video content, additional tips, additional lists, and things that we provide to our patrons. I also want to thank the Doctor Who Target Book Club and those who wish to remain anonymous who are amongst our patrons on Patreon. You can find us at patreon.com/Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, all one word. If you'd like to support us at Podbean, you can go to drwhocollectors.podbean.com and click the Become a Patron button to support us there at any level. Our theme song is Who's Doctor Who, composed by Barry Mason and Les Reed. Keep in mind, they also wrote It's Not Unusual for Tom Jones. And it's performed by our friend Fraser Haynes. You can hear this podcast anywhere you get your podcasts, including Stitcher Radio, Pandora, Amazon Music, and Podbean. You can find this wherever great podcasts are found, or even ones like these. We are a Direction Point podcast, of course, and so you can find more great podcasts at directionpoint.org. After the break, we will have collection protection, our main story, and the most outrageous offer. Stay tuned.
Hello, fellow time travelers, and welcome to the Doctor Who Target Book Club podcast, the only podcast to discuss, in story order, all the Doctor Who novelizations. My name is Tony Whitt, and every 2 weeks or so, I'm joined by a 2 to 3 person discussion panel, including our so-called expert who's been a Who fan since 1979. That would be me. We also get the views of intermediate, casual, and novice fans who either have never seen the show or who have never read these books until these podcasts, including
Dalton Hughes
and
Alison Seyfried.
You can find us on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, or wherever you find good podcasts, or even ones like ours. You are listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, a Direction Point podcast. Keep collecting.
I would like to invite you to take a trip across all of time and space.
Join us in the police box as we discuss the worlds of Doctor Who in a completely random order.
We discuss it all. TV stories, audio adventures, novels, nonfiction books, and on and on. I'm your host, Eric Branson. I would be very happy if you'd join me for the Police Box in the Junkyard podcast.
The Police Box in the Junkyard podcast is a proud partner of the Video Junkyard podcast and can be found on most major podcast platforms including SoundCloud, Podcast Addict, Stitcher Radio, Google Play, and Spotify.
You are listening to
the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast.
Sad, really, isn't it? People spend all their time making nice things and other people come along and break them.
And now it's time for collection protection. Since today's topic was about costumes and cosplaying and things like that, how do you protect those costumes? Now, Bags Unlimited can't help us here. In fact, the information that I have is going to direct you to any big box store. Just make sure you buy the right material. So the advice that I've been getting here, of course, is to store your costumes in individual containers. And you might, in some cases, depending on how old the costume is, if you've got an original, let's say, Patrick Troughton costume, I don't know if anybody really has one, but you might need to rent a climate-controlled space to preserve it. and especially costume companies, marching bands, high school drill teams, they want to keep that from deteriorating. So basically, the key words here are acid-free. We talk about that a lot in collection protection. Acid-free bags, acid-free paper that keeps things from deteriorating. So basically, you can store a costume in a regular container. Basically, a child's costume can be stored in a regular container, but a professional costume is very different. They have unique materials that can leach colors if placed in the wrong box, especially plastic containers. So the reason why plastic contains acid, which can destroy your costume's material, paint, and so forth. So you want to start with acid-free plastic boxes, and it says you can find these at any big box store. Just look for acid-free. Additionally, you can find them online, various places. We're going to do some research, find some stuff here that might help, and we'll post those links on the website under this post. Basically, you go to our website, on the front page, it'll have this episode title, and you'll be able to find the links there when we get those. Another thing you might want to consider is an acid-free garment bag. Being able to hang your costumes in a closet is a big plus because that keeps them from bunching up. If you do that, make sure you hang them in an acid-free garment bag. You also might want to consider acid-free paper. We talked about that with preserving old books. If you have a large and ornate costume or several of them, you might want to store them together. And if you do, place an acid-free paper between each outfit and between each layer so the colors won't leach out and the material won't crease. Another recommendation is invest in a full-size mannequin. Avoid bending, warping, or creasing with a mannequin. Warping may not occur in a day or even a week, but of course, if it's sitting in storage for a year, your costume can lose its shape, which is why people with expensive costumes buy mannequins to store them. Since a mannequin is the same shape as a natural body, it will hold your costume shape very well. Get a mannequin for headgear. You can store a costume in a box or garment bag easily, but hats, helmets, masks, Time Lord headgear, you might need a mannequin to store that headgear. All you need is the head and shoulders. So it'll cost less than a full-size mannequin, by the way. So, basically, the other advice I got here is don't even bother storing children's costumes because they're not made the same. They're, especially if you bought it, most likely you probably bought it. If you make it, though, if it's something that you've made and it's professionally made, that's a different story. It says to use, basically, if you want to choose a climate-controlled storage unit, that's going to cost you a little bit more. But basically, it protects your items from heat and cold with climate-controlled storage. And I know there are people that do that. I have a friend who owns the green tuxedo that John Pertwee wore in the Carnival of Monsters, and it's kept in a climate-controlled unit. So if you're, that's basically the way to go. I had to do research on that alone because I don't own any costumes per se, but that's, some of you out there might have, the stuff that you do, and we want to, welcome our cosplaying friends to our community, and we want to help you protect that gear as much as possible. So look for those links online. As far as I'll do some research and I'll find some places that sell these acid-free plastic, acid-free boxes, acid-free garment bags, the paper that you need, and even some places. I don't know. As far as where you listen, it may be you might want to check online listings through Google as far as finding climate-controlled spaces near you. So this has been Collection Protection. Collection Protection is brought to you by Bags Unlimited, even though they don't handle costume storage. All of your other needs, if you're looking to preserve action figures, books, magazines, Radio Times issues, video cassettes, bagsunlimited.com.
Doctor, there's been another... Where is he?
In there.
We promised it. Doctor, we must get moving.
Is something wrong?
You've changed.
Oh, no, not again.
No, I didn't mean your face. I meant your clothes.
Don't you like them?
The unit is supposed to be a security organization.
Do you think I might attract attention?
It's just possible.
One moment.
Today, my guest is Katie Haynes. She is a professional cosplayer and does an impeccable Jodie Whittaker Dr. 13 impersonation and costume. I met her at Chicago Tardis. And so today, we begin right into the conversation. Before I had a chance to even introduce her, she went right in. And the conversation was just incredible. So I'm going to keep it exactly the way it is. If you'd like to see the video of this conversation, the Zoom video includes, of course, her costume and most of her Doctor Who collection concerning the 13th Doctor. You'll have to visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, all one word. And you can subscribe at the $15 level or above to see this video. Anyway, I present the conversation as it occurs with Katie Haynes. Enjoy. Hello, Katie.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm so sorry. I literally just got done filming something and I thought I will come into the room where it is the most warm. And my God, I love your sweater.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It was great. I loved meeting you at Chicago Tardis. It was really,
thank you.
Really, really nice. Just to watch you interact with people and how they really flocked to who you were and what you were doing, and even just the brief back and forth we had. I thought, wow, this is why I do this. So that's I'm so glad you agreed to be on the show. I've actually I've watched a number of your interviews. So
oh wow, thank you.
Oh, no problem. I try to be prepared. So so let me I'll just tell you how I do things. I don't know, you probably haven't listened to any of my podcasts, and that's fine. But I've been doing this for 3.5 years now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, holy cow.
And that's nothing compared to the fact that I've been a Doctor Who collector for 40 years. So it's been a long haul. I also I opened the first Doctor Who store in Chicago in 1985.
Oh my God. Wait, were you a part of the group that went over every year and met with Auntie Alex at the shop?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, I know who you guys are. I know who you guys are because Auntie Alex and her husband would tell me, yeah, we would have a group who would all. Were you there at the dinner that was crashed by it wasn't the Brigadier. There was like some major dinner that got crashed by one of the Doctor Who. Oh my gosh.
If I remember it correctly, it was John Pertwee.
Yes.
And he was in town for the Spirit of Light convention. Yeah, that's So
oh my gosh, I know exactly who you guys are. She told us this story, and there's one particular story that she told that I kind of want to share and I don't want to share. I think people who have been to the store know about their permanent resident. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just going to leave it at that.
Okay.
But the first time I went to the shop was actually, I want to say it was 2012.
Okay. Wow.
I think it was actually during Matt's run. And I just fell in love with it. Mm-hmm. So you've been, who was your first Doctor?
My first Doctor was John Pertwee because I started watching the show in 1975.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so that was what was being broadcast here in Chicago.
I have to ask.
Yes.
This is a little bit of, I don't want to go into like spoiler-esque territory.
No, it's okay.
But did you freak out at the upcoming trailer?
Yes.
I lost my mind because the only reason I know about them through two things. Two things. One, I have a dear friend who cosplays Roger Delgado's master.
Oh, wow.
So
yeah.
I know a little bit about the Sea Devils from that. I also, from one of my pieces, know about the Sea Devils because they show up in the comic run of Jodie. So I was like, oh my, and even I as a new Whovian, with my experience of classic Who being very limited to a couple of Pertwee episodes as well as Big Finish. When I saw that, even I was like,
Probably won't work.
my God, they're doing it.
And it looked darn good too. It looked exactly like the Pertwee era Sea Devils, and that was a great story. I saw it when I was really young, and I've seen it many times. I've read the book. It's a wonderful story. And John Pertwee actually shared a lot of great stories about that when he was doing conventions back in the 80s and talking about the stories. And that's the one story where his famous picture of him holding out the sonic screwdriver with the stern look, the first one, like using it as a weapon for the first time. And that was kind of with the cloak blowing in the freeze and his hair blowing back. That's where that story took place. That's the story, because he sets off the mines to deflect the Sea Devils. So it's really a great return. Of course, Warriors of the Deep brought him back for the Fifth Doctor. That was a story. That was an opening story of his last season.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah,
because I know that your classic Whovians are now celebrating 40 years of Five.
Well, 40 years of Five and 60 years of the entire series coming up next year.
Oh my God.
And of course, for me, gosh, it'll be almost 50 years of watching the program myself. So it's really quite, it's amazing for something like that to last so long. And for, myself, I've been a part of it for a long time.
an amazingly long amount of time. And I know people who have collected and listened to all of Big Finish, who have literally gone through every single season. I mean, my seasons are literally the movie up until current.
Gotcha.
Like, I've watched every single new Who episode, but very much like, I'm saying this very generally, please nobody get mad at me.
No, they're very fine.
No. I was just, what I'm about to say might make some people mad. In the similar vein of Star Wars, the universe of Doctor Who is so expansive and so unlimited, and really even as of right now, untapped, because you have a character who has... there will never be enough adventures for one. There will never be enough adventures for 6, for 7, for 8. There can always be more.
Oh yeah,
because
absolutely.
While they have a start and they have an end, their middle is hundreds of years.
Yes. Anyway, just to jump in real quick to my listeners, we're in the midst of a great conversation. My guest is Katie Haynes, and that's okay. Katie Haynes is a professional cosplayer and someone that I met at Chicago Tardis this past November, and somebody that really just kind of shined a light as far as the costuming world and the things that go with that. And since I've seen it over the last 38 years since the first time I went to a Doctor Who convention, and one of the members of our fan club actually did one of the most amazing Davros costumes that, with the moving chair, he actually built it around a motorized wheelchair, and had the rubber mask and the controls and all that, and had the one arm and was able to maneuver around. It was so amazing that his picture got captured in Doctor Who Magazine's 1984 merchandise special when they did the Chicago convention in review. That's the first picture in the left-hand corner is his Davros.
Amazing.
He also was a very talented artist, and when we opened up Bundles from Britain back in 1985, I want to say, he drew the cover of our catalog. And it's still a pretty amazing. He was just an amazing artist. He passed away a number of years ago, but he was one of the first people to really take costuming to a level that I had never seen before, because the year later, in 1985, at the Spirit of Light convention there that November, he dressed as the First Doctor. He was an older gentleman, just to kind of give you an idea. He kind of had a look about him. He had the silver hair. He let it actually grow out a little bit, so it was natural, and he had everything right. Now, what happened, John Nathan Turner was at that convention. He was the executive producer of Doctor Who at the time. And they had just finished doing the 5 Doctors. Now, Richard Hurndall, who was the actor who played the First Doctor, had recently passed away. And they were keeping an open mind for a future First Doctor. So when John saw Bill, and he said, well, wait a minute, you're actually an actor? He goes, yeah, I've got my Screen Actors Guild card, because he was an actor in local. He took his name and number. No, nothing ever came of it. Nothing ever came of it. But John Nathan Turner got his attention with that First Doctor. That's how good it was. And I've kind of measured costumes I've seen over the years. I've measured to his level of costuming, and you definitely raised way above that with your Jodie Whittaker. That was
okay. I don't necessarily. First of all, that is a huge compliment.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much, and blessings to your friend, because that is.
He was a good man, and just
my God.
An amazing man who loved Doctor Who, and didn't like you said, when he did all his artwork, he never asked for any money for it. He just did it. And I'll think to do this. I don't have one handy here, but I'll send you a scan of that cover so you can see what it looks like.
Yes,
it's beautiful. God. I'm surprised I don't even have one on my wall, but I don't. But
you've got Colin, you've got
I do.
Daleks, you've got the door is the best.
The vinyl door. Yeah.
Yes.
This is my Who room. I did the virtual Chicago Tardis convention from here in 2020. It's still on YouTube. I did the collecting workshop from here, which made it real easy, because then I could grab something and say, here's a copy of Planet of the Spiders and by the way, just so our listeners, if you're a patron of the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast, you can actually watch this interview. The rest of you have to listen, so you have to kind of use your mind's eye here. Katie is dressed as the 13th Doctor and impeccably. And I can prove it, because I have Jodie right here in the and you'd actually think that this is a doll of Katie. It's that good. So it's really quite something. And Jodie Whittaker has always been a favorite actress of mine from many of her projects.
Her work, I think, because most people know her from Doctor Who. I honestly think one of her best performances, my favorite performance of hers, is easily Adult Life Skills.
Okay, that's a good one. Broadchurch was my go-to.
I need to watch Broadchurch. For me is so heavy, because I watched her Black Mirror episode.
And there's so many Doctor Who people in Broadchurch.
Oh yeah, they're endless. Yeah. Like, I would honestly, I know the woman who plays against David Tennant, who plays his partner.
She's I know her. I can think of her name off the hand, but she's also somebody who's been in Big Finish productions.
Yes, and I can easily see her eventually one day becoming the Doctor.
Yeah, I could see that too. I mean, it's been as far as Doctor Who goes, the Jodie Whittaker selection, and I know that's been a controversy across the worlds of Doctor Who.
Yeah.
But for me, I've always been, this is the Doctor, and that's why, the Doctor, and Gallifrey has had cross gender regenerations before.
Yeah.
So it's not something that is even talked about. And some of the books that go back to, when John Peel wrote the Gallifrey Chronicles, the gender is not even something mentioned in Time Lord Society. So it's not something that would be a thing. And so I'm hoping more people will come across. I know that there's a when I post this podcast to various groups on Facebook, I have to be careful. If I talk about Jodie Whittaker and I post it on Classic Infinity, I get a little bit of, nope, we can't have that here. But it's just, but if I talk about Tom Baker, it's fine. So it's just, it's a little strange to me, but my listeners are very diverse, and I'm part of a network that has a lot of people that listen in and want to know, what we do, how we find things, and why cosplaying is an important part of Doctor Who. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you today, because when I, and I don't know how many, I was going to ask, it was, have you been to Chicago Tardis prior to this year, or was this your first one?
This was my first one. And
wow. Because I would have noticed you before, I'm sure, but yeah.
I got back. I've always loved Doctor Who, but I really got into Jodie's run at the start of the pandemic because of her pandemic message.
Right.
And that has just always stayed with me. And what you had said, where I draw the line personally, like if you, let's say, someone came up and say to me, hey, you look great. And I'm like, oh, Jodie's one of my favorite doctors. And that person said to me, well, she's not really my favorite, but you look awesome. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's okay. We can disagree about whether or not we like certain doctors. That's totally okay. Here's mine.
Sure.
Peter Capaldi is not my favorite doctor.
That's perfectly fine. Yeah.
However, he is an amazing doctor.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
He is absolutely incredible. Is he my favorite? No, he's still incredible. Every single doctor is incredible. Where I draw the line is when you say, like if you just tell me I don't like that doctor, but that's just me, that's fine. When you say, oh, I don't like that doctor, that's not canon, you're awful for liking that, leave me alone.
Yes, absolutely.
To the people who are to any, I don't accept the War Doctor. I don't accept Ruth. Okay, why are you making a big deal about it? They're both awesome. It's when A, you attack the actors, and B, personally, you attack the fans, saying you're stupid for liking this thing, or that's where I draw the line. Tons of people don't like Jodie. That's fine. I'm not going to try to change your mind. If you like my content, fine. If you don't like my content, that's fine. Just take your hate back to Davros where it belongs. No offense to your friend who I literally
No. He would have agreed with you if he had been around today. I think he would have embraced Jodie Whittaker as the Doctor. In fact, the surviving members of that club, and there were three of us at the TARDIS convention. We actually had a great session on Saturday morning where we got to talk about the fan clubs of the 80s and how all of us, especially where I come from, because the company I started in 85 actually eventually evolved into what is now Chicago TARDIS. And my former partner is Gene Smith, who's the showrunner for Chicago TARDIS.
Oh, and I was going to be like, whoa, wait a minute, what?
Yeah. Holy crap. And he owns Alien Entertainment in Lombard. So it's he actually I sold my share to him back in '89, and he took it to the next level because. Basically, the quick history is that in 1986, there was supposed to be a Spirit of Light TARDIS 23 convention. Well, Spirit of Light was not a well-managed company. The guy that ran it was not very good at numbers or business, and it folded, and so that convention was canceled. So Gene took the reins of that and got the contact information and started in 1990 with a convention called Visions. And so Visions became Chicago TARDIS somewhere in the late 90s. And so he carries on that tradition every year for a Midwest convention in that Thanksgiving weekend. So that's, and of course he and I were both at the first couple. So it was a really fun, time. And of course, back then we had, the costume contests were not something part of the, we're not part of the land yet. There were parades, and stuff like that. And in one place I remember, Peter Davison was a guest, in Wisconsin, and we had him judging a costume contest. So it was a lot of fun. One of my friends did a really good, Tegan.
Oh, nice.
And
I've got one of my friends, Abby of Chalk, and she cosplays Tegan.
Oh, wow.
Right now, her signature is Jenny.
Okay. Jenny from the Pet Renester.
Yeah. And man, she nails it.
I've met the actress who plays Jenny. She is quite amazing. Katrin Stewart. She's really quite something. She was at Chicago Tardis 4 years ago.
Yeah, I think because I've been looking back at some Chicago Tardis. I think that I saw a photo of her there.
Yeah,
but this was my first Chicago Tardis.
And what were your thoughts of the convention? Just from somebody who's new.
I wish I had spent. I had the option to have it the whole weekend because my family was coming in, so I could only go one day. Mm-hmm. I had a lot of fun. I think I went on the slowest day because Sunday is definitely the slowest day. But I'm telling you, being able to watch episode 5 of The Flux with everybody, being able to just be around other Whovians, accidentally meet people. Because and just the cosplays, the one woman who was walking around as the Kerblam Man made my day. I wish I could have been there for the costume contest because
yes, that's usually Saturday nights. Yeah,
I saw the detail on. What are their names? Oh, I should know this from the Demons of Punjab.
I know what you're talking about.
No. I need to for my own.
Okay.
For my own knowledge as a Whovian, the assassins. They're assassins. Come on, what are they called? It doesn't start with a No, I'm not gonna. They're not Volturi. They're not Volturi. I just made a lot of. I swear to you, with that, I just made a lot of people mad. I'm gonna Google it. No. And the second I Google it, I'm gonna remember it.
That's okay. That's perfectly okay. I think I ran into you when you were first arriving. Bajoran. There you go.
But seeing them, and that's actually one of my favorite episodes from season 11, is the Demons of Punjab. So
it's a great story.
To see them do that detail so well, and the time and effort. You called me a professional cosplayer, and that is a very high honor because for me, a professional cosplayer is someone everything that I'm wearing has been bought.
Okay, that's nothing wrong with that.
For me, a professional cosplayer would be someone like your friend who literally made everything scrap by scrap, piece by piece.
Part of the reason, though, is that none of that stuff was available back then. I mean, in the mid '80s, you couldn't buy a costume for Doctor Who. The only one that was marketed was in the late '70s. Was the Tom Baker costume with the plastic mask with the staple. Rubber band around the back and a scarf, and that was about it until the last 10 or so years when some BBC licensed official costumes, when a lot of artisans started making David Tennant's coat or even Paul McGann's coat, back in the 90s. Yes. There was a lot of demand for that. And then, of course, back in the 80s, people were looking for those frock coats that Tom Baker wore and knitting their own scarves. And I remember there was a woman in Ohio. It charged, it was $60, and she would start knitting you a Tom Baker scarf that was 25 feet long, exactly the colors or whatever season you wanted.
Just $60?
Well, this was the 80s.
Yeah.
$60 in the 80s was a lot of money.
Actually, why don't I, for the sake of what is it? Year exchange.
Yeah, I just remember being, it was a lot more expensive. You got a lot more for your money, I think, back then. But if you wanted, let's say if you wanted a Target book in the 80s, you had to find a store that had it, and you were lucky if you paid $4 to $5 for it because of the import charges. And in today's money, you're talking $12, $13, $14 for that same item, whereas today it's $2 or $3 most. So it's interesting how that changed. But again, with Doctor Who merchandising in the 80s, it was very limited, and costumes were not even on the horizon. So all the costumes were made, all the props were made. And I had a conversation with Claudia Christian one day. I don't know if you know her from Babylon 5. She's an actress on that show.
What Babylon 5.
Yeah. And anyway, she commented that at a Comic-Con, someone had her exact costume with the sidearm and said that the props that this person had made were 10 times better what Hollywood produced. And the costume was even more lightweight and breathable versus what they gave her. And I sense the same thing when I talk to a couple people who dealt with the BBC props department, because I do have one prop in my collection. It's minor, but I have the Dalek Playsuit that was in An Adventure in Time and Space. Little Heather.
Oh my God! I know exactly.
When Hartnell's granddaughter wore it at the party, I have that.
Oh my God! No, that is one of my favorite. I can't. I know it didn't happen, but make a Whovian cry in 5 words or less.
It's a great story.
Hartnell sees Matt Smith.
And, and of course, the way that ended, and David Bradley, of course, going on to even play the first Doctor later, and that story, Mark Gatiss had tried to make that movie for years and finally got a chance to do it. And that story, it's a heartbreaker because, sadly, he's fired from the show because he's just his health is terrible. And he wasn't a very old man at that point. He was in his 50s, I believe, because he died in his 60s.
That's right.
He wasn't very old at all, but his health was terrible. He had smoked for a great deal of time, as people would have done back then.
Right.
And it is true that he picked out. He declared Patrick Troughton to be the only person who could replace him, and that they had all acted together. In fact, there's a drama where William Hartnell, Patrick Troughton, and John Pertwee were in the same thing. So they all knew each other. Patrick Troughton, of course, took it on, and it was a great experiment, because how many people in the middle of a season are going to accept a new actor in the lead role? And they the regeneration sequence was really primitive, but it happened. And so already, the first TV ratings of The Power of the Daleks were just as good as they were, because they said, okay, so this happens.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. And of course, we get to the end of his run. And unfortunately, Patrick Troughton not available for a regeneration sequence. You just have to assume that it happened. And John Pertwee arrived.
I'm one of the few people who I go with the theory that we had two regenerated into Ruth, and
possibly
then Ruth regenerated into John Pertwee. I'm one of those people. I absolutely accept that. And one of my favorite. I should start showing you my collection.
Please do. Yeah.
So first of all, you can see we got that in the back.
I've got that poster. I have that poster. Absolutely.
I've got we can go slowly.
Oh, look at this. Oh yeah. Funko dolls and TARDISes. Oh gosh, this is great. You've got the Jodie doll I have.
The one that I do not have, the action figure that I don't have, is the red shirt with the fanny pack. My godfather Matt gave me that.
Oh, nice.
These were custom made. These 2 Funkos were custom made, the master, and it's actually her wedding outfit from the Demons of Punjab. She has the flower in her hair, because if you try to get her now with the coat, that's $300.
Yes, I know.
I am, and they market that doll. Like in any Funko thing, they market it with the doll. Okay, fine. Re-release it with her. I have the manuals. I have the Runaway TARDIS, which I actually did an audio with my godfather Matt.
Very cool.
One of my favorite books, because at the end they do feature Verity. This, which was nearly impossible to get my hands on, and I swear by the comics. I love them to death.
That's nice. Oh gosh.
So we've got the Hero Collection.
Okay.
We have. I'm actually going to move. My wonderful friend Dana made this apron for me.
Oh, that's beautiful. Oh, that's nice.
But what's underneath it, and what I've actually got on display, is my 13th Doctor Jedi robe.
Oh,
that I had
nice.
professionally done.
Beautiful.
It cost me like $300 to get it done, but I'm telling you, for the quality that I got, Rose, I will send you the link. Something Rose cosplay. I can't speak highly enough of them. This is the only screen accurate item that I own. Her scarf from Revolution of the Daleks. Put that back up there.
Great story.
This piece.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to grab my phone so that we can get a little bit better detail on it. Oh boy, did I. And I will put out a video with this one because this is the first time that I've ever shown it. And
all right.
Oh boy, did it cost a pretty penny. Oh, and the backpack that I actually got for Christmas, which is actually a really nice backpack.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
But here we go. Here we freaking go.
Here we go.
There she is.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the detail on her is just amazing. You get the pating. Literally, you have in the box, and I kept the box. Like, don't get me wrong. And there's a signed plaque by Jodie.
Nice.
So I got a doll, and I kind of got an autograph, so I can completely go with that.
Very cool.
Kept the whole thing. My friend, my wonderful soul brother George, made me my own sonic screwdriver.
Oh, nice.
And it's got a crystal at the top, so it's kind of like me and Jodie joined together. I love it.
Very cool.
We're going to continue on a little further, and I have art from other artists on the walls. And the stocking that I found.
Oh, look at that.
Literally, if it's chances are if it's 13, I've got it. I've got a
Jodie Whittaker's Christmas stocking. Oh, yeah, the cookie jar. I've got the cookie jar.
I have got so many teapots and Funko items and creameries.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then if we go into, and I do want to show this off because if you haven't been to Forbidden Planet yet.
Oh, they're one of our sponsors, as a matter of fact.
They're my Sarah Jane.
Oh, yes.
And I'll be honest, I only know her from her couple of episodes with Tennant, one of my favorite episodes of all time, School Reunion, and the Sarah Jane Adventures, which I recently came back from London with my boyfriend, now fiance.
I know, I heard. Congratulations.
Thank you. And we started to watch episodes of Torchwood.
Oh, yeah.
And I just couldn't do it. Torchwood is great, but my God, so we binged most of Sarah Jane. And it's so funny when you go back and you realize I don't think anyone's done the Doctor Who what I've dubbed the Doctor Who hat trick, which is kind of like the Josh Whedon hat trick of, you've done 3 or more things. No, I don't think there is an actor that did Sarah Jane, Torchwood, and Doctor Who.
There is,
Who's
I believe.
That?
Wait, no, excuse me. I take that back. Well, Sarah Jane herself didn't do Torchwood.
No,
I thought Captain Jack was in Sarah Jane, but he was not.
No, I don't think
so. Nobody's done that. But I know Sarah Jane Smith did Doctor Who, K9 and Company, and Sarah Jane Adventures, and the new Doctor Who as well.
Yes.
And of course, if you want more on Sarah Jane, tell you and my listeners, my next episode is with Sadie Miller. So I have her on the program. We're going to talk about Sarah Jane collectibles. So that'll be fun.
And then these were handmade. I love these so much.
Yeah.
And I do have the signature Barbie. So that's another one. And
that's nice.
Like most of these are just things people have made for me.
Sure.
And so one of the strangest things that happened at Chicago Tardis, and again, this is coming from someone who is a new Whovian.
Okay.
So I kind of like snuck around toward the back where they were doing photo ops. And I just kind of, because I'm like, oh, this is cool. I want to snoop around. I want to see this. And then I see them standing with this gentleman and they're like, yeah, you can come over. You can get photos with our Tardis. And I'm having a fun time. And then I start going into Jodi. I stop being 13, talking about, what are you doing having a Dalek here? And a gentleman approaches me and says, your northern accent is very good. And I'm like, thank you very much. And in my head, there's a little warning bell going off being like, Doctor Who royalty, be really humble right now. So I'm just saying, it's just something that I learned from, watching YouTube and watching Jodi. And I end up getting a photo.
I thought it was Fraser.
It was. And I immediately, I leave the room and I go and I message my friend who is a classic Whovian. And I'm like, who is this? Please tell me right now. And then he lets me know. And I'm like, oh God.
He is the longest running companion in Doctor Who history.
And I got complimented by somebody who turned out to be Davros.
Oh, Terry Malloy. Yeah.
Yes. And so it was. That's
the fun part of Chicago TARDIS is that you have those moments. I wrote an elevator with Peter Davison once, and stuff like, of course, let's see. Back in 85, I rode an elevator with John Pertwee when he was in full Wurzel Gummidge costume and character, and hit all the buttons and just entertained people all the way up until he reached his floor. That was, of course, before phones, so we just had to tell the story. And I remember telling the story at a panel session, and a gentleman across the table said, "Yeah, I can confirm that. I was in the elevator with you."
Oh my God!
I'm like, wonderful. At least I'm not, telling a tale, but yeah, those are the things that happen at Chicago TARDIS that are just there. And Fraser, of course, he sings our theme song for the podcast. He had a single back in 1968 called "Who's Doctor Who." So when you listen to this episode, that's usually what we start with. And he's just a wonderful man. He just he's been part of the Doctor Who history since 1966. And traveled, except for the very first story for Patrick Troughton, he was in every story after that till War Games. So he's the longest, according to the Guinness Book, he's the longest running Doctor Who character, I think 114 episodes.
Oh my God. I knew in my head was like screaming at me, do not say anything stupid in front of this man. Like even I was thinking like, don't make a fool of yourself. I mean, I've already made a fool of myself. I'm running around. Traditionally, what you see right now, unless it is like the middle of the day and I have not had a lot of sleep, this is pretty much what you get when I'm in costume. Like I have. No. It's the best part of cosplay for me, because I will get dressed up like this. And in warm Chicago weather, I will go out and walk around dressed like this. The best part of my day is when I get one person who knows who I am and I go up to them and I act like the Doctor and, I make them laugh there is nothing as wonderful as making someone's day for that one moment because you were in a costume or you connected with them through a character, or you, much like the Doctor, I kind of live by the theory, if you can make someone smile genuinely every day, even if it's something small, it's kind of like I'm a huge Walt Disney World fanatic. That's my other big fan of Walt Disney parks and films. But if you're the theme parks and rides and everything, those are phenomenal. Those are incredible. They're slight pun intended, they're marvels.
Yes.
But it's the cast member who, sees that you're having a really bad day and gives you a free ice cream. Like that's the magic. That's the if someone says you're dressed like the doctor and I run up to and I ask and I say, you know, what's your name, or are you okay with me getting close? And they're like, my name's Kathy. Oh, Kathy, I'm so glad I found you. Don't worry, I've gotten everything fixed up. You go about your day. The master is not going to bother you. And they laugh, and that's
a beauty of doing what you do. That's absolutely. I'll share one another story I know is there was a gentleman at O'Hare Airport, and he was walking through the airport and he overheard this person talking. He said, "Oh, so sorry to bother you, but you're British, and I just love British television." He said, "Oh, really? Tell me what's your favorite show?" He goes, "Doctor Who," and he happened to be talking to John Pertwee, and he said, "I am the Doctor."
I would have literally both my dream and my nightmare. Well, mostly my dream and only nightmare because if I'm doing 13, and by some act of God, Jody sees me doing it and kind of comes up behind me or whatever, or I would break down and just.
I imagine Jody will be doing the conventions now that she's done with the program, and I'm sure she will. She'll probably do the big ones first. I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Are you going to be at Galley 1?
No, unfortunately, I'm kind of limited to my local convention. I do the Chicago Tardis once a year. Right. I don't travel anymore. It's just as I get older, it's I have to I also have a day job, so I do that as well. But Galley 1 is a lot of my friends go to Galley. So I
will be at Galley this year. I got, as I like to say, I got nicely bullied to go to Galley 1. I don't believe there is such a thing as nice bullying. But the fifth person approached me and was like, "Hey, Galley 1 tickets are on sale." And I'm like, I know, I don't know. And then the sixth person approached me and was like, "Look, I'll buy you a ticket." I'm like, okay. Fine, you'll win. I'm going to Galley 1.
You'll see Fraser Haynes there. He's going to Galley. My friend Tony Lee, who's a writer, and he wrote a lot of the Bernie Summerfield stories on Big Finish. He's gonna be there as well, along with. I don't remember the full thing, but of course, Alien Entertainment has a presence out there as well. Because they do a Chicago TARDIS booth at Galley, so it's a great convention.
I'm going for I basically, when I was already freaking out because I know Joe Martin is going to be there.
Yes.
Sasha Dewan.
Yes.
Here's the thing. Who's your favorite master? Missy. Nobody tops Missy.
Missy is great.
All respect to all other masters, but it's Missy. But if I had to have if Missy's got the gold and then you have someone who has the silver place medal, but with a little gold in the middle, it's Sasha. Sasha. So I knew that Sasha was going to be there. I'm like, heck yes. And then they announced that Mandip is going to be there. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm like, my wallet is going to weep blood. I will do it.
Usually Doctor Who collectors say that all the time. It's like, oh, my wallet can't take this anymore. But
my wallet, really, it's my wallet and my wall space, because I spend more on commissions than I do on the thing about Jodie's era is that there was not a lot of merch.
No, not a lot. And some of the stuff that I got, I got a promo item from Forbidden Planet. It was the 13th Doctor's purse. And
I have that.
You do. Not many of them sold.
No.
It didn't do very well. I still have it. It's up there on the top of the shelf back there. But it was something that they were going to heavily promote, and of course they made a bunch of them and nobody bought it because then they started marketing it as the Doctor's satchel.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, I'm sorry, this is a purse. And I said, what's your marketing on this? And they were like, well, we don't really know. I mean, it's a beautiful bag. It's got a rainbow strap.
Awesome.
It's a beautiful thing. I brought it to the convention, showed it off. I said, here's something you can't get anymore because it's now a collector's item. But yeah, the Jodie merchandising wasn't it. Now I think it'll pick up a little bit. We're still scratching our heads about the last Doctor Who annual that came out without her picture on the cover.
Yeah, I got that.
The 2022, the 2022 annual did not have a picture of any Doctor on the cover. Let's see. Yep. For the viewers at home, that's the one.
And she's on the back, but
she's on the back, but she's not
on the back. But it's her
final annual
jail look.
Yeah, and they use that. Look. It's a shame because every Doctor Who annual has had a picture or photo of the Doctor on the cover, except for this one. That was something that when BBC took over the annuals in the last 15 years or so, and of course the annuals go back to 1965. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of and I've got the whole run of those too. So.
I've got 19 through. 20.
Do you have your race? Do you have the race to the TARDIS game?
I do not have the race to the TARDIS game.
Oh,
I don't have that. I was the first one to make the joke.
The Flux card game,
yeah. And I have the expansion in here. I don't know. I had heard, one of the things that I had heard was that Chibnall said that he didn't want a lot of merch for.
That's correct. Yeah, it was even though the demand was heavy.
I kind of, on the one hand, I respect that because, like, if you, again, I have a love-hate relationship with Disney because as much as I love Disney, I can also punch the company itself for a lot of their choices, and B, the way they treat their do not talk, like, seriously, Disney, don't talk to me about Disney Genie Plus until you give your cast members a livable wage, and I will stand on that soapbox until the day I die.
Okay. That's a fair point.
I want, I want more stuff like this.
Yes.
I genuinely want, like, fun books and fun little oddities. My favorite Doctor Who story, aside from the comics, is actually this.
Oh, yeah.
Paper Moon.
Yeah, Paper Moon.
It is so fun. It is so cute. It is so sweet. And the ending is actually really beautiful because it's there. I love this, and I would have loved to have had more. I mean, I think everyone feels that way towards their Doctor.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
Towards the Doctor that they have said, there will always be the Doctor, and then there's my Doctor.
Right.
And for a long time, Matt Smith was my Doctor. And I will go on record and saying I think Matt Smith is like the best Doctor. That's just me. No, okay. Nobody throws stones. Nobody throws that. That is purely just me. But Jodie has become my second heart. Okay. My second Time Lord heart. And she represents light and love and excitement over, no day can really be a bad day for her. There can always be something exciting and beautiful and fun. And her, I want more. It's like Yaz says, I want more.
Yes.
More of you. You're like the best person I've ever met.
Well, I did read that Jodie has not said goodbye forever to Doctor Who. She has indicated that she will come back for specials. Well, they're thinking the 60th anniversary special first as a reappearance, and then Big Finish I think will be part of that. David Tennant did a lot of Big Finish because he had no work during the lockdown, so he thought, well, what the heck? And he got to work with Tom Baker. He got to work with people that have been part of the show even longer, and of course, he's got a doctor in the family, so that's Peter Davis's son-in-law.
Watching him do Staged with Michael Sheen, who somebody get him on Doctor Who. My God, you want an actor? Get Michael Sheen on, and I'm a Good Omens fan as well.
Oh yeah, I love Good Omens. Yeah, great story.
And all of the Doctor Who references in Good Omens, the tie, the little
Easter eggs that they throw in there.
That was so amazing. And shout out for the fact that they got Derek Jacobi as the Metatron, which was amazing. Just get Michael Sheen on as a companion or as a future doctor,
or somebody on the program. They've been bringing bigger and bigger British stars onto the program as it's becoming more popular again. And of course I remember very well when in '89 when they canceled the show for the first time. And we waited all those years for the Doctor Who movie to come out, and it was not the savior. It wasn't the saving thing we thought it was going to be. And then we waited another 7 years before Christopher Eccleston comes back out. So it's nice that we've got Russell T Davies back at the helm, and that's why I think you're going to see merchandising pick up, because he had a big to do with that. And there's a great website. I know I tell my listeners about this all the time, the Doctor Who merchandise guide, which is out there. And the link is on our website at drwhocollectors.com. It's updated like every 6 hours with what's new and what's available and what's being produced and what's happening with that. So
hello.
I would see.
Yeah,
did you find it? Okay.
Yeah, no, I absolutely found it. Oh my God, the prints.
Yes.
Oh, I want the Flux prints. Oh, I want the Flux prints so bad. The thing is, like, give me the Flux prints. Somebody, for the love of God, find me that the Funko with the coat. Although, good luck. Oh yeah.
Well, just before we lose track of everything else, could you please tell my listeners how they can find you and support you?
So if you want to find me, I am primarily on primarily on TikTok with the handle. I keep forgetting exactly how to say it because I just go by Katie Gangel, but it's Katie Gangel 44. That's where you can find me on TikTok. If you want to support me, I do have a Patreon page.
Yes.
I would really, you don't have to spend a ton of money on me. If you want to, just give me $1 every month. Or I think I have a $2 tier every month. And that's just because you like my TikTok videos. You can find me on Instagram under the name Gabriel's Angel 44, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, they're right. Yeah. Yep. Katie Gangel is still Katie Gangel. Pretty much anything. If you find Katie Gangel or Katie G Angel, that's where you can find me. But I post a lot of the similar stuff that, you can find on my Patreon. Not my Patreon. I'm sorry. On my TikTok page, because TikTok is primarily where I live, where I create the videos that I create, and where I just have the most fun because I love doing this. I love going out. And although I will say one thing that I did last year that I will do this year, but it's going to have a little bit more of a challenge. And it's going to, last year I did a charity drive for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And I raised about $1,200 for Make-A-Wish by auctioning off a signed sonic screwdriver that I had. And signed by me, not signed by Jody. Believe me, if I had a sonic screwdriver signed by Jody, I would not sell it. But I did an ice cream crawl last year, which is I went to 8 shops and I bought 8 ice creams and I finished them all. So this year I've decided I'm going to do it to raise money and I'm going to do it to make myself suffer. Okay. So I will pick, instead of 8, it's going to be like 5.
Okay.
5 stops. And depending upon the amount of money raised at each stop, so let's say there is that crazy person out there who's like, I want to kill this woman, who donates $100 at each stop. I will buy the largest item at each ice cream stop and finish it. And then I think I'll keep with Make-A-Wish because I always love what they do. So
that's a great.
If I can do that and raise some money for Make-A-Wish, do a charity event every year, that would be amazing.
Oh, and Chicago Tardis every year does a charity auction for the food pantries.
Oh, nice.
And,
yeah.
Yeah, they do those auctions every year. And I know Gene was on stage pushing hard for more money and they raise quite a bit. So it's always great Doctor Who fans are givers at heart, and they absolutely do what they can to help others. And even if that help is just helping somebody to smile when they're feeling down and seeing their favorite doctor dressed in their favorite outfit. So this has been a wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
And don't go away after we sign off. I want to ask one more favor of you before you go. But just to say, everybody, my guest today was Katie Haynes. She is a professional cosplayer, and as you heard for the last hour and 45 minutes or so, it's been just a wonderful conversation. And of course, you patrons out there can watch this conversation. She shows off her collection. She's in her costume, and but the rest of you,
I'll give you a little.
Here's another tour. Yeah.
Maybe not a full tour, but I can give you the full.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, the costume. There we go. The full twirl. There we go. Yes.
There we go. I gotta do it with Sonic.
And you can only get that on our Patreon page at Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. So go to Patreon and select at any level. You can do that. Oh, there we go. Oh, yes. Yes. That was perfect. Oh, that was great. Oh.
Okay, here's another one for your patrons.
Okay, here we go.
I don't just have one. I don't just have 2. I don't just have.
This is going to be special.
3.
Oh, my goodness.
4. I have.
Wow, that's a lot of Sonics.
That is not all.
And we're not done. Oh my goodness.
Backups.
Oh my goodness.
Backups. Where's
the doctor didn't even have a backup. That's incredible.
I have backups.
Oh, that's amazing. That is amazing.
I have not even opened yet, and I'm willing to bet you any amount of money if I went into some of my coats.
You had some in your pockets. Yeah.
Well, you will find random Sonics. Like, I will sit down. I'll be like, what's that in my... Oh, that's right.
Well, everybody... My guest...
Shout out for your website. Shout out for the Who shop. And
Absolutely.
The boots that they actually... the boots that they asked me to promote on TikTok, which I did. I found another one.
That's going to be Sonic. The Who Shop, of course, is a dear friend of the podcast. We love the Who Shop North America and the Who Shop UK.
Yes.
Both great places. So thank you again, Katie, for joining me on the podcast. And,
much.
all of her links will be posted on the website at drwhocollectors.com under this episode 45. So again, stay tuned for the most outrageous offer.
Ooh.
Hi, I'm Juliet.
And I'm Nathan.
Experience Doctor Who from the very beginning through a classic fan's eyes.
And through the eyes of a new Who fan.
Reminisce and relive those classic moments with Nathan as he offers fun insight.
Or experience them for the first time with Juliet as she dwells on social issues, history, fashion, and the size of a flashlight.
We're the Time Streams podcast.
Find us on Spotify, Stitcher, or Apple Podcasts. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Are you ready to travel through time with us? Then check out Traveling the Vortex, a Doctor Who podcast. For nearly 7 years and more than 500 episodes, we've traveled from one end of the vortex to the other, making different stops with different doctors, reviewing everything from TV stories to audio plays, from books to comics, and more. Sean, Keith, and Glenn take you on a journey through 50 plus years of Doctor Who episodes and spin-off materials. You can find us wherever you get your podcasts, so be sure to check us out. And now, we're a proud member of Direction Point, a Doctor Who podcast network. You're listening to the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
In all my travelings throughout the universe, I have battled against evil, against power-mad conspirators. I should have stayed here. The oldest civilization. Decadent, degenerate, and rotten to the core. Power-mad conspirators, Daleks, Sontarans, Cybermen. They're still in the nursery compared to us. 10 million years of absolute power. That's what it takes to be really corrupt.
And now it's time for the most outrageous offer. And so today we have 2 items here that make you beg the question, are they related? Because they were both sent to me with the point out that they have the same outrageous price, 2 different items, 2 different booksellers. And so, but from the same site, abebooks.com. You can find a lot of great Doctor Who items at abebooks.com. They are not a sponsor, but I have gotten some great deals from them. You just have to be careful not to pay the outrageous prices. So the 2 items I have here are the Doctor Who Annual 2018. Features Peter Capaldi and Pearl Mackie on the front cover, published in 2017. And the bookseller here is Big Bang Books. They've been on the podcast before, from Durham, United Kingdom, with a 6-star, looks like a 5-star seller rating here. They have 3 available. The other item is the Doctor Who Tardis model making kit from, looks like 2007. Features David Tennant and can't tell what else is on the cover. The cover image is not very good, and I don't have this in the collection. But this is from Book Factory from Corset, United Kingdom. So both items are exactly the same price, $1,388.67, with the exact same shipping cost of $60.67. So I wonder if these are the same seller using 2 different names. And just, looking at this here, they both have the same seller rating. Although this seller, the Book Factory, says they've been online since August 4th, 2010. And the other one has been on since October 7th, 2016. I'm a little suspicious here because it sounds like these are about the same, they're probably the same person behind the thing. Now, you can get the Doctor Who Annual 2018, 2 new copies for $25 or used copies starting at $3.25. The TARDIS model making kit, you can get, looks like a new copy for $69. That's still a bit high, or several used copies starting from $1.04. Basically, it's the same kind of idea as the Build Your Own TARDIS book from back in the Target days, 1987, where you pop out the parts and you build the TARDIS. We're going to do that on the podcast one of these sometime this year with a video. I've got 2 copies of the book, so we're going to build the TARDIS. So maybe we'll do this TARDIS model make. This is the interior of the TARDIS. So interesting there. And of course, everybody knows about the Annual 2018. That's been out for a couple of years, and you can actually find copies on Amazon. You can find them on eBay for a lot less than $1388.67. So I declare these to be outrageous offers. I will post these links to these 2 books, this exact listing, if they're still available by the time this is published. Sometimes they disappear because I often write back when I find them and say, do you mean to have this price? And sometimes that changes, or, we made an error on the pricing. I'm like, yeah, before somebody actually paid it. So be aware of those prices out there. Don't pay more than you have to. So that was the most outrageous offer. If you have a most outrageous offer, send us the link to Doctor Who Collectors Podcast at gmail.com. Sorry, I hesitated there. Doctor Who Collectors Podcast at gmail.com with the subject heading outrageous offer, so we don't ignore it. And make sure that you include the links. We will check it out. We will vet it. We'll make some inquiries. And if you'd like your name read on the air, let us know. This person asked us not to read their name on the air, so we are not going to do that. And we're very happy to present that, keeping collectors safe from paying too high a price. And that concludes the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. I want to first of all thank my guest, Katie Haynes, the professional cosplayer. It was a great conversation. You can find her links on our website to follow her or patronize her or whatever you want to do. And, of course, stay tuned for our next episode. We will have Sadie Miller, the daughter of Elizabeth Sladen, and we're going to talk about Sarah Jane Smith and Elizabeth Sladen related collectibles. So stay tuned there. And also Fraser Hines for singing our theme song. This has been the Doctor Who Collectors Podcast. Keep collecting.
Direction point! Direction point!
A Doctor Who Podcast Network.